Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the little delay. We were meeting with the Ridge High School student government, and as always, we have a lot of fun talking to them, and they have a lot to say. And we need to find more time to meet with them because it's important. Okay, this is the regular session of the Board of Education. We've already had executive session, and we did the salute to the flag in there. So at this point, we'll have a roll call, please. Mr. McLaughlin?
Mr. Salmon?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer?
Here.
Mrs. Gray?
Here.
Ms. Singh?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
Ms. Light?
Here.
Mr. Khanna?
Here.
Ms. Hero?
Here.
Mr. Markarian?
Here.
Mr. Syatt?
Here.
Ms. Fox?
Here.
Mrs. McCune?
Here.
Madam President?
Thank you. I'll read the statement of public notice. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of Bernards Township. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was provided, and copies of that resolution were forwarded to the official newspapers as designated by the Board of Education, et cetera, et cetera. For those members of the public who are unable to attend our meeting in person, there are 2 live stream links of the meeting posted through the district website, www.bernardsboe.com. The 2 live stream links are both airing our meeting. One is just the backup of the other in case of technical difficulty. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is early in the meeting before the board votes, when you may speak about any item that is listed on tonight's agenda. Towards the end of the meeting, there is another public forum to address any matter of public concern related to the schools. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once during a given public comment session. In order to run efficient meetings and to allow maximum opportunity for members of the public to speak, the board reserves the right to set a different time limit for individual comments and/or to set an overall time limit for public comments. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually. As a courtesy to those individuals unable to attend our meetings in person, public comment may be made remotely through Zoom. Interested individuals shall navigate to the district webpage, www.bernardsboe.com, and select Board of Education, followed by public comment to review the specific instructions, or click on the link in this agenda. Public comments made in person will be processed first, then comments via Zoom. No public comments will be accepted before 7 p.m. or after the last item on the agenda, board forum. Please understand that public comment portions of our agenda are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather they are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. The board or administration will respond to public comments to the extent possible. Any board responses to public comment will be generally addressed during board forum or during committee reports. However, all comments are considered and will be investigated and addressed as appropriate. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when speaking. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students and employees. Please also understand that the board will not be responsible for the content of comments made by members of the public. Members of the public are cautioned that they are speaking at their own risk, and any personally directed statements they make may subject them to legal liability to the affected individual. If it is necessary for the board to go into executive session at the end of the meeting, we will provide an estimated length of time for the session and whether any action is anticipated to be taken upon returning to public session. Okay, we're up to our student representative, Gordon Lee.
Thank you. So, with Memorial Day literally 1 week away, Ridge is incredibly excited to welcome the unofficial start of summer. As AP and standardized testing come to a close, students are deep into their final projects and looking forward to these final few weeks. The Ridge Forensics team participated in the National Speech and Debate Association's Last Chance Qualifier, intended to give deserving students another opportunity to show their skills and qualify for the National Speech and Debate Tournament. Ridge qualified an additional 6 students, further bolstering the already strong showing on the national stage. Ridge congratulates all of the students for their grit and determination, as well as the teachers, parents, and support staff for their tireless efforts. Despite the urge to relax, Ridge clubs have continued to fundraise for good causes. The Key Club and Girl Up Club will be hosting a henna tattooing session on May 25th during lunch, with donations going to the World Wildlife Organization. The Ridge Golf team organized a car wash on Saturday to raise money for their team as well. All of these funds go directly to these organizations, and we are very pleased to support them in any way we can. Outside of fundraising, other clubs are certainly not idle either. The Ridge International Dance Ensemble held their annual showcase on May 12th, and the Girls Who Code Club hosted a Women in STEM panel discussion on May 16th. Dozens of Ridge clubs and sports also showed up for the Ridge High School Activities Fair on May 10th, giving rising freshmen a chance to talk with members of these organizations, share their contact information, and hopefully gain more information for when they have to decide on clubs in the fall. The fair was incredibly positive and exciting, and we hope the 8th graders had as much fun as we did. On Saturday, May 12th, the Ridge Latin program visited the Franklin High School for the annual New Jersey Junior Classical League State Convention. In addition to attending workshops and learning from reenactors, professors, and other leading experts, many students also participated in various academic and athletic contests. Ridge students took home ribbons in many of these areas, ranging from grammar to daily life to Hellenic history to tug of war, and the Ridge upper-level Kurtamen team took first place in the 2022 New Jersey State Kurtamen Quiz Bowl Finals. Opportunities like these show the immense dedication and passion Ridge students have for their classes, as well as the sportsmanship instilled through Ridge's educational environment. The Latin program thanks the teachers, parents, and volunteers who worked tirelessly to make this day happen. In preparation for next year, the Ridge student government has already started the election process for class officers. Additionally, I have just met with the school-wide president-elect and the other incoming school-wide officers as part of our annual transition process. As I'm sure all of you just heard literally 5 minutes ago, all of them have many wonderful ideas and are very dedicated to improving the school and the student life surrounding it. I am incredibly proud of their diligence and work ethic, and with just under a month of school left, I am sure they will do many great things, and I cannot wait to see what they have planned. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. It was wonderful to meet with all the students, and please tell them we were not trying to rush them out of here, but we really did have to start the meeting because we publicly advertised it starting at 7 o'clock, but we definitely look forward to talking to them more and hearing from them. Does anyone have any questions for Gordon? No? Okay, thank you very much. I don't really have any board president comments, just want to invite everyone to the rescheduled Bernard's Connect meeting that we had to cancel from last week, and it is on June 6th, right? Monday, June 6th at 7 o'clock in the Ridge Cafeteria. We're hoping to have a big turnout. So we had really great conversations at the first Berners Connect on collaboration and communication, and we're looking forward to having this one on technology and instruction. And it's a wonderful opportunity for parents to come and talk to their children's teachers and other staff members to hear more about what's going on in the classroom. So we're really hoping to get a good turnout at that. And at this point, we are going to go down to sit in the audience for the presentation.
right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're here tonight to provide you with an update of our progress toward district goal number 3. I've titled it here Career Education Program Evaluation, but I'll read the full title of the goal in just a minute. I'm joined by this amazing team here, so they'll be introduced shortly, but I have Ms. Jean O'Connell, the Director of Special Services, Ms. Stephanie Smith, who we're welcoming back from her leave, Allison Reed, and then we have Mr. John Brum, along with a team of amazing students who are going to share some of their experiences in one of our programs. As a reminder, we'll post this presentation to the district website tomorrow for your further review. Oops, it's not working. So I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of our journey to this point and what led us to this particular presentation related to this district goal. In 2019, the community came together, stakeholders, students, staff, administration, board members, to talk about to create a strategic plan, to create our vision for the future, and establish goals that would guide us over the next 5 years. It's in 2019. The first strand of the plan, developing student competencies, speaks to meeting the needs of all students, all learners. It covers a lot of ground. With many sub-goals. But, the language in here is important, that we're looking to not only meet the needs of all students, right, across the entire district, but provide them with some more experiential and interdisciplinary learning activities, to foster a growth mindset and develop lifelong learners who are most specifically prepared for post-secondary plans, so college and career readiness is what that speaks to. Like I said, this covers a lot of territory. For the purposes of tonight, I'm going to focus on sub-goal 11B. So within strand 1, this one relates to district goal 3 that we're currently working on here, and it's to increase opportunities for students to explore career, college, and vocational opportunities. So within strand 1, here we're honing in on how we can promote more college and career readiness and increase opportunities for students to have some of those experiences while they're with us. There's a multitude of ways in which these experiences are already occurring throughout our program. This goal here is about being more intentional, more purposeful about providing these opportunities to all students and in an appropriate place for them during their pre-K through 12 plus years with us. So this led us to the development of district goals for the school years 2020-21 and 2021-22. So the past 2 years, we had district goal 1, enhancing our ability to respond to necessary school closures through the development of blended learning programs and an updated long-range technology plan. District goal number 2, strengthening the ability of the staff to promote social, emotional health, and well-being outcomes through staff development. Previously, you've heard about our work in these 2 areas, but district goal 3 is what we're going to talk about tonight, to provide students greater opportunity to understand how their personal strengths and interests align with 21st century career pathways. Oh, look at that, I was playing with different animations. That's funny. Did I skip one? I think I skipped. Okay, thank you. That threw me just a little bit. So we embarked on a program evaluation, and we do program evaluations in all of our areas on pretty much a 5-year basis. However, I need to note that the pandemic slowed us down, and we're not necessarily on the 5-year sequence as we would normally like to be, but we have them in ELA and social studies and science and so forth. We embarked on a program evaluation of our college and career readiness, our career education programming, which is a little different, right? Because it's not just it doesn't just touch or affect one department, one area, one grade band. This really transcends all elements of the district. It really is bringing together counseling department, initiatives and programming, what goes on in our curriculum and our instruction, both in the general ed and the special ed population. So it really touches upon everywhere in the district. And so the purpose of this program evaluation was to look at how we could do it more systemically, more integrated in more purposeful ways, so that all students benefit from the same great programming. So for that reason, the three of us, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. O'Connell, and myself, are going to speak a little bit about some of our current programming that we do already offer and that this program evaluation aims to improve upon and build upon. I'll take the first couple of bullets. So the first one speaks about the standards, the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. And we currently are responsible for implementing this one standard, Standard 9, were the 2014 standards, which have been recently updated, but they're called the 21st Century Life and Careers Standard. The way this particular standard works is we are required to implement them throughout our program, throughout all of our grade levels and all of our content areas, where we infuse what these standards call for. And what these standards call for is teaching students about a range of things like financial health, exploring career paths, understanding what the skills jobs and colleges are looking for, from problem solving, creative thinking, collaboration. So all of that is woven through the standards, or built into the standards, and it's our job to weave it through our content areas where it's most appropriate for students, where it fits in our other subject areas. So this is something that we're already doing throughout our curriculum. A couple of other programs we offer for students designed to give them some college and career type experiences. One is the dual enrollment courses that we offer, and I'll speak about this at a later slide, but this is a way for students to earn college credit, a transcript from a college, from a course that they're taking at Ridge High School. We also have a senior internship program that we're very proud of, and I won't say anything more because we have a lot of people here tonight to speak about that, but that's something that we currently offer and are hoping to build upon in the future. Mrs. O'Connell?
We also have what we call our vocational skills work program, and that serves our students in district that have disabilities. It serves students in the self-contained classes and in our resource room classes. Skills are taught directly in school, and they're also taught in the community at local job sites. Many of our students in these programs require one-to-one assistance just to learn the prerequisite skills in order to have a job within the community. Once they're in the community, many times they'll also continue to need that one-on-one assistance with our job coaches. Currently in that program right now, we have 29 students in our postgraduate piece, and we have 38 students that are also coming up, so that program is continuously growing.
All right, good evening. So another opportunity for our students on the career pathways and career preparedness and field experience really is to participate in the Somerset County Vocational Technical High School, so VOTEC. We have 17 students who are in the VOTEC program. 11 of them are shared time, and so they're shared between us and the VOTEC campus, and then 6 of them are full-time, and so they are on a specific career pathway where that is their full-time school that they attend. In addition to that, we have exposure to different career pathways through career fairs, career days, different activities. This, we'll get in a little more detail in a few slides from now, but this really encompasses the work of many different people across the district at different grade levels. And so teachers from elementary on through high school, each year it can look different, and so we've started to dive into what exactly is done and do a current analysis, which I'll get into, but again, some of the broad examples that we have noticed are career fairs, career days, where speakers might come in, exposure to career pathways in that sense, and then various activities that are related to those events. Additionally, interest inventories are popular, especially at the high school level, sometimes in the middle school level as well, but here at Ridge High School, we have for the past couple of years participated in interest inventories, typically at the sophomore level. It can look different each year, but our platform Naviance, which is our college and career database that we use and software program, they have a variety of different learning inventories and self-assessments and career interest profilers that can tell you a little bit more about yourself after you take the assessment and then give you potential pathways that might be a good fit for you. And so just having students take those assessments and then helping them to understand what might be their aptitudes, their interests, and then to go from there. So as my colleague John Brum likes to say, that is a recap of the state. And so that's what we would do for a very long time together. But that, in other words, is our way of saying our current programming. It's a summary of what we have in the district related to career readiness. As Ms. Fox mentioned, we did convene after we studied where we are with this and really, discovered our interest and passion for this area. We convened, with Mrs. Fox's support, a career education program evaluation committee. So we will give kudos to the committee members. Their names are up there on the screen. Some of these folks have been involved with this process for at least 2 summers, and some of the folks up here on the screen will carry the torch forward and continue some of the work moving forward. And so you can see here that there are representatives from many of the different schools, the different grade levels, and disciplines and subject areas as well, be it special services, counseling, and teaching at the elementary, middle, and high school level. Oh, we're one at a time. That's fancy. Okay, so what did we do? And what was our purpose? Make sure I get through all that. Okay. We, as Mrs. Fox mentioned, if I could just say in maybe 3 key points what our purpose was. We came together to do, one too many, okay. Program comparisons. So that means looking at different programs nearby. And so keeping it close to home, and close to home I really mean in the state of New Jersey. We looked at 35 different districts. What are they doing? What's the most innovative way that they're doing career readiness? What's the cutting edge and most appealing approach that our students might like? We've studied that. Okay, that's program comparisons. And then we did research best practice, so that's more empirical, right? What do the journals and the publications in career development, in school counseling and teaching, what are they saying about what is best for students at the elementary level, what's best for kids who are the middle learner, and then for our high schoolers who are preparing more specifically for their post-secondary after Ridge life. So research best practices, and then there are program comparisons. Once we did those 2 activities, our final activity as a group was to discuss, reflect, and to agree upon, come to consensus for what our recommendations are. And so our recommendations are going to lead our work for the next X number of years. So whether that's 5 years, or so, what we set out as a committee to do, we're going to establish what the recommendations are. So I'll start off with the research support and best practice. We compiled numerous different sources, whether it be professional journal publications, research articles, and white papers from authoritative bodies, Naviance, ACT, anything related to college and careers. There was a point where Mr. Brum and I every week would exchange white papers with each other and just try to tease out key information that we found relevant to our students and can help inform our work. Some of the examples we included up on the screen there. Some of them include career planning resources, so they might be modules or apps or different activities, different programs that districts engage in and produce the results that we're looking for. So students, if the goal for students is to learn about your top 3 interests or personality traits, your aptitudes, and then find 5 different career clusters that might fit you. There's a program for that, so we would study, something to that effect. If the goal of another program is to just expose you to the 16 federal career clusters, we would look into that program and tease out what those best practices were according to the actual research. We also expanded that research to the college level, and so once we're our students who are living the college level experience right now, you have a career center at your college, right? And so what are they doing? What is the most cutting edge, innovative thing that they're doing where our kids are going to go, our seniors are going to be there next year? And so we wanted to pull from different resources at the college level to help what they're doing to help students become career ready. And so we definitely had universities that were of great interest to us in terms of their programming that we felt like we could replicate in some sense at the high school level, or make it, use the staff to make it developmentally appropriate for our kids. We also looked into CTE, Career and Technical Education, the governing body, the professional organization that is. So again, we compiled all this. It was part of the committee to come together and to do not only the compilation, but the analysis, and then to share out with one another what were some interesting points to help guide our work. As I mentioned, the second part of our work is to discuss the comparable districts. And so we looked at 36 different districts across the state of New Jersey. And so we were looking at what they were doing at the elementary, middle, and high school in terms of the trends or a summary that we can share with you. We are very similar to our neighbors and our districts across the state in terms of our technology platform. So a lot of the districts are using Naviance. We also use Naviance. It's a robust platform that we have used for several years. We also found it more difficult to find this information in terms of specific career programming at the middle school and elementary level from just our internet research. And so we found it necessary to reach out to colleagues, and then that started a process for us of developing survey questions to ask eventually of people in other districts, to specifically inquire about what they are doing with their students at all levels. So we saw a varied approach based on our research that we did, various different programs that are up there on the screen, whether it's AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination, learning style inventories like I spoke about here. There are a lot of other districts that are doing that at the same developmental level, be it that freshman, sophomore year. And then we did find some high schools with a dedicated college and career counselor, which is a different model as well. So we have our research, we have our comparable districts, and then we came together to establish our program evaluation recommendations. And so you'll see there on the screen that we agreed upon 5 recommendations that we are representing tonight. And so what we'll do for the next couple slides is go through those recommendations and expand further. But the first is to build support for the mission and vision that this committee established to guide the expansion of the Career Readiness Program. So we're going to build support for that mission and vision that we established together. The second is to integrate and infuse a college and career education core curriculum across the district in both the curriculum and the counseling program. Third, we want to expand the vocational skills and work program for students with disabilities. We also are looking to expand opportunities for students to engage in college and career-related activities. And then we want to increase awareness of the variety of career pathways that are available to students after high school. So we'll start with our first recommendation or our first goal. That's to build support for the mission and vision to guide the expansion of our Career Readiness Program. So the career program evaluation team that met, we spent several hours talking about the mission and the vision. So we have all this data that we just compiled that I described for you. And so now we want to sit down and help to focus, what it is that we're doing. What is our vision and our mission? And so that was the work of the committee for part of our work over the past few summers. And so you could see the vision and the mission there on the screen, but we are looking to be intentional and purposeful about college and career readiness and to enhance that career portion of that, just as Ms. Fox said. So we're looking to broaden the understanding of available options to students and pathways that might be of great fit for them. And that's you.
Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, we're already responsible for implementing and fusing the 2014 standards, Standard 9 and Career Readiness, but I also think I mentioned that they've been updated for 2020, and we've been in the process of updating our curriculum to infuse them. And, noteworthy, they did make some changes in terms of documenting and establishing career-ready practices that we need to look throughout our curriculum and place them where they're appropriate for students. And we need to do an analysis of the new standards and kind of look at our courses at where we're going to make some changes or where we're already meeting those standards. So that is one really important goal that we will embark on first. And, and sort of along that line, we also developed this sense of needing, since it's not a particular content area that one staff member teaches as a standalone, there's probably less familiarity of the staff about the career-ready practices and goals that are infused into each course, just because it's not what they're necessarily primary focus of their teaching. And so what we feel is part of this goal is to survey the staff, survey the students about what they're experiencing in class, and make sure we have training and professional development with the new curriculum that also includes a focus on how this relates to whatever they teach, whether it's world language or whether it's mathematics. So where does this fit in what you're teaching in your discipline? So that's part of this goal in surveying the stakeholders, reflecting on where everybody's at with regard to this area, and then providing some training and discussion opportunities to understand it even further and how this connects to what we're already doing. A few other things we want to do going forward is look into expanding Naviance into the lower grades and kind of look more closely at the modules that they've been developing and expanding in recent years, and consider whether it would be in line with our goals for our younger students as well. So we want to investigate that. We've been looking at pursuing the offering of career exploration assessments like ASVAB and incorporating them as an intentional part of the student's experience in high school, or at least an opportunity for that. We talked about we do have a lot of career fairs, and they happen at different grade levels and in different buildings or classrooms where teachers or administrators have connections to different members of the community. But what we talked about is being, again, more purposeful and intentional, and placing those at a district level so all students have the same experience at key transition periods, so like 5th grade into 6th grade or 8th grade into 9th grade. And the last one speaks to just trying to capitalize on experiences students are already having, like our community service program and our active citizenship program, and having them also make a connection and reflect on the career pathways that might be associated with some of those other experiences that they're having.
As goal number 3, what we'd like to do is expand our vocational skills work program for our students with disabilities. One of the first items that we'd like to deal with is to focus on expanding the program. We were hit very hard with COVID. Not only did our students lose time, but we also lost a lot of workplaces within the community. We're going back into the community and we're getting those workplaces back. We're explaining to them how important it is for our students to work within the community and how they can accept our students and work along with them. We also want to investigate community engagement, resources, and support. We just have hired 2 new transition coordinators, and they're going to be the 2 people that are going to have to realize those numbers that I talked to you about before, how those numbers are growing. But it's not only just numbers. We receive a diverse amount of students with different disabilities. We don't deal with one disability. We deal with disabilities across the board. So those transition coordinators, along with our teachers, have to understand the needs of those students, those diverse students with disabilities, and how they will fit into the community experience. And last but not least, we need to support the individual child. This isn't a group effort. Our students come in, they have IEPs, and they each have individual needs. We need to look at their job readiness skills, their interview skills. We need to teach them how to job search, how to job sample. They need to become independent people. They need to work independently. They have to learn how to communicate, problem solve, have conversations. We also have to look at alternative programs. Some of our students will not be able to work within the community. They may be able to attend a day program within the local community. We need to investigate those programs and connect parents to those opportunities so that when their students leave us, they'll have another alternative. There are also a lot of our colleges are now developing programs for learners with developmental disabilities, and they have what we call applied academics. So we're beginning to look at those opportunities too, especially not just for our self-contained students, but also for our resource room students.
All right, our 4th goal is to increase the awareness of the variety of career pathways post-secondary. So to essentially expand the publicity of our newly launched post-secondary planning website and to include career learning opportunities, be it in newsletters or communications that are sent to our students, our teaching staff, and our community and families as well. We are looking to continue to include information about alternative pathways from a 2 or 4 year school in our parent evening events, and again, to just be really intentional and purposeful about that. As Mrs. Fox mentioned, we are looking to investigate the use of our Naviance curriculum and whether or not that would be appropriate and at what levels throughout the district. Lastly, with this goal, we are looking to formalize our plans for career fairs at key transition points, so elementary to middle school to high school, throughout the district as well. And so essentially this goal touches upon the increased awareness of all of the pathways that might be a good fit for students as they pursue their post-secondary goals.
And the last goal is related to increasing experiences that students have while they're in the pre-K to K+ setting that expose them to different college and career activities, related activities, skills, and pathways that might be open to them that they might otherwise not be aware of. So I'm going to skip the first bullet for a second. Should have been the last bullet. But one of the things we want to do is to increase the number of dual enrollment opportunities that we have for our students. We currently have 4. One of them you heard about in the last board meeting, which was Tomorrow's Teachers. So that was added just this year. And that is a way for students to take a really great course, but also earn college credit from Kane University. We have 3 others from Raritan Valley Community College. We have Introduction to Psychology, we have Honors Personal Finance, and we have Honors Accounting. So students can take that course here at Ridge High School and simultaneously earn credit at those colleges that produce a transcript for them to take with them. So we would like to increase those offerings and sort of overcome some of the challenges that have prevented us from doing more of that, recently. We want to think about other ways we can give kids opportunities while they're in high school to have experiences in different careers and different workplace settings, maybe smaller scale, larger scale. So we think we can be creative and try to get kids to have those experiences because that's where they're going to develop a better sense of themselves and where they might fit. The last bullet is the first one that I want to talk about, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Brum to talk about our senior internship program. It's something we're very proud of, and I give him a lot of credit for what he's done with the program over the last few years. It was your passion and your vision that you brought to the table. Mr. Brum is our science teacher for, I think, about 15 years. Pretty close, right? AP Science, Environmental Science. But he also has a passion for career awareness, career exploration. And he beat down Miss Smith's door over many years and really pursued this idea. And so I'm going to let him explain to you what he's done and where we'd like to see this go. Mr. Brum?
Thanks, Kristen. Good evening, members of the board. So as part of Goal 5, we're already making significant progress, and one of the things that we've been focused on for quite a few years is the senior internship program. So there are actually 2 programs. One of the programs has been in place for quite a few years, and that is the full year program. So the full year program provides students with an opportunity via their schedule to actually participate in an internship on a daily basis. There are several students this year who are participating. The senior internship program is a newer program. It's been in place essentially since 2019, and we sometimes refer to that as the May-June program. The May-June program obviously runs from mid-May, right after the AP exams end, all the way through about the middle of June. All seniors are eligible to participate in the program, and generally students participate anywhere between 16 and 18 days. Our program for this year is currently running. Our interns just finished their first week very successfully, and our program this year will run for 18 days. When we take a look, I'll take you a little bit back in terms of the history of this program. That's the May-June program. We actually started to evaluate, similar to what we're doing with some of our other programs. We evaluated a number of years ago, back in 2016 and 2017, and we looked at a number of different schools who are running programs similar to the one that I thought we should run here. And interestingly enough, our program is designed after programs that are run in the state of Connecticut. The program in the state of Connecticut is actually one where the internship becomes a capstone program where all seniors are required to participate. So we're not there yet, but that may be something that we may want to consider at some point. We spent a lot of time kind of putting the nuts and bolts together over the course of 2017 and 2018 to figure out how the program could gain traction and and how we would actually roll it out. With permission from the board and the BOECC, we piloted a small program in 2018, actually in the spring of 2019. We had, if I remember correctly, 15 students participating. It was hugely successful. The students really enjoyed participating, as did our internship hosts, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And the program continues through this day. We've had a few bumps in the road with COVID, but we still have a very solid program in place, a program from which we can build on. Some of the program benefits might be obvious when you think about internship programs at the college level, right? Internship programs at the college level are door openers to future careers. Internships at the high school level aren't necessarily door openers, but they're opportunities for students to explore career interests, to see whether or not those career interests are a good fit, to test out whether or not they have the appropriate level of knowledge and skills, and figure out how they can fill those gaps. It provides an opportunity for them to increase their network or begin to develop a network of people who could potentially open doors for them to future employment, increase their self-confidence and personal capability, and showcase their accomplishments. I know Alex Blinder, in the interns that Alex has had over the years, he allows them to spend time getting what are called micro-credentials. And these micro-credentials, if you're on LinkedIn, are huge because people announce the fact that they've gotten these micro-credentials on LinkedIn, and and it's a neat opportunity. So, they can showcase their accomplishments not only through the credentials, but they can put those things on a resume and add them to maybe a professional network platform like LinkedIn. So when we look at the numbers, I didn't have responsibility for the full year program, but assumed that back in 2020, we had 14 students who are participating in the full year program. Now, 2020 was, a challenging year with COVID. We actually had to end the program with the exception of about 5 people who were able to operate online, but any on-site interns were, we had to stop it at that point because we had to follow school policy with respect to COVID and all of the rules associated with that. In 2021, we had 8 students, and this year we have one student participating right now. We actually had 3, and for various reasons, 2 students dropped out, so we have 1 student at this point. The rotating drop schedule has created some challenges for us with respect to the program. I won't go into the details of that, but these are challenges that can be worked through over time as we get used to the drop schedule with respect to the full year internship program. In terms of the May-June program, in 2019, the year we kicked it off, we had 15 students participating. In 2020, we had 5 students. We had, I believe, 2 students who are working as interns for Alex. They set up 300 Chromebooks on the Board of Education porch over the summer. We had 2 students working online for Language Lizard, which is a company here in town run by drawing a blank, but anyway, run by a parent here in town, and Annika Frazani. And then there was one other student who I believe worked in one of our elementary schools virtually and did an awesome job. In 2021, we had 10 interns, and this year we have 6 interns. In terms of our hosts, you can look at the numbers for our hosts. They sort of, go up and down based on the year. We have always had more internship opportunities than we've had students. So, our challenge is to continue to communicate and continue to change the program up a bit so that we can influence more students to take advantage of what I consider to be a significant opportunity. When we look at some of the internship host comments, so these are the folks that actually host the interns, you can pretty much read what they said. I was amazed at what the interns were able to accomplish. Our interns were meticulous, detailed, highly respected, and very responsible. I have never had an internship host say anything negative about a Ridge student. The comments that we get back from our internship hosts are high-end comments. In fact, many of our internship hosts are astounded by what our students can do and their capabilities. I would love to host another intern in the future, and historically we had only hired college interns. I didn't notice any difference between a high school or college intern, which is kind of cool. When we look at the senior intern comments, I was treated as a founding member of this entrepreneurial venture and was highly respected. This particular student actually wrote a business plan for this new venture, and I read through the business plan, and I felt like I was back in the business world reading a real business plan. It was outstanding, to say the least. We set up close to 300 Chromebooks. I think either Rohan or Alex made that comment. I learned what's important. It's important, rather, to like where you work and the people you work with. And then the last one I thought was hugely eye-opening for me. I became aware that police officers need to make decisions in a split second, which gives a whole new perspective on the stories we hear in the media. And this particular intern worked at the Berners Police Station for his internship. In terms of where we should go in the future, I mean, there are a number of different things that I think we should do. Obviously, there'll be things that we will be able to do and things maybe that we won't be able to do for some period of time. But internships should become part of the program of studies. They are now part of the program of studies, thanks to the work that Mrs. Smith and Ms. Fox did. Students have the potential. We're working on the fact that students should receive course credit and a grade. Now, in the full year program, we actually do grade pass-fail. We don't grade pass-fail for the senior internship May-June program, but we do post credit in terms of the fact that they participated in a senior internship program on their transcript, but there's no grade or no credit for it. And we hope that the grade would become part of the GPA. I highly recommend that internships become part of the senior schedule, and I would advocate that the program becomes sort of a capstone program for all seniors. It will take us time to get there. It's not going to be something that we'll be able to do overnight, but we should take that very seriously and figure out a way to do it, at least at the senior level. And then if we want to incorporate internships as part of other grade levels, we can evaluate that. We need to, I think, do a better job of increasing the visibility of the internships using social media. I'm finding that my students don't always read email. but I know they look at Instagram and they look at, don't think they look at Facebook, but I know we have a Facebook account and a Twitter account here at school. So, however we can advertise it via social media, I think that's the way to do it. We can also leverage Genesis to actually announce programs to parents and students. We do it a little bit differently now through email. We can also obtain permission from parents to for their children, their children to participate in the programs. And then we might be able to put together, there is a timeline, but we might be able to put together a very deliberate timeline once students are signed up so that they know exactly what, they need to do, when they need to do it, and by what deadline. So that's sort of a high-level overview of what we might want to do in the future. I have saved the last of this presentation to introduce, and it's my privilege to introduce Emily Gray, who participated in the full-year program back in 2020. Emily is, she's a rising sophomore at Virginia Tech. Sarah Skalski, who is you're a rising sophomore, you're going to be a junior, right? You're a rising freshman who is at Syracuse, right, Sarah? And Julia, you're a rising freshman up at Quinnipiac. So Emily and Sarah and Julia have participated in the internship programs, and I am privileged to actually introduce them, and they'll give you a little bit of a perspective as to what their experience was all about. All right, thank you. Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Brum. Yes, I'm Emily Gray. I graduated from Ridge in 2020, and so my senior year, I had the privilege of interning at Cedar Hill Elementary School with two different hosts, actually, with Molly Wilcox, who is now Molly Mooney. She got married, and Beth Calabrese. So Molly Mooney is the school counselor over at Cedar Hill, and Beth Calabrese is the occupational therapist over there. And so one day a week, I was with the occupational therapist just due to the nature of her schedule. It was harder for me to be with her all the time, but she was incredible and had me one day a week, and I got to do a lot with her, which I will go into a little bit more. And then the remaining 4 days a week, I was with Mrs. Mooney, who is incredible. And they both were just so accommodating of me and welcoming, and were happy to have me there as much as I wanted to be there and as much as my schedule would allow, due to senior year schedules. And at the time it was a rotating drop, so we had health, and that sort of messed with how many class periods of the day I was able to be there. But whether it was for 3 periods or 2 periods, however much it was, they were happy to have me. So when I was with Molly Mooney, I was doing a lot of different things on the counseling aspect. I was planning assemblies with her and character education lessons in the classroom, which was incredible because you really got to see what a school counselor at the elementary school level looks like, and how a character education lesson can vary so much from kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. We were also meeting with individual students and groups of students and hosting lunch groups and all kinds of things. And through all of that, I was really able to form relationships with students, which was really awesome and made it super rewarding. And it always made me so happy when I would get to Cedar Hill that day and some student would be like, "Hi, Miss Emily," and I was like, "You're so sweet." And then when I was with Mrs. Calabrese, who is the occupational therapist over there, that was so amazing because I was able to not only shadow her while she was meeting with either groups of students for their sessions or individual students. She also gave me the privilege of having one student that was essentially mine. I would run her occupational therapy sessions that day because she received OT, I believe, twice a week. And so the one day a week that I was with Mrs. Calabrese, I would get to run her session, which is incredible. Not only was that experience so rewarding for me, but to be able to put all of this experience on my resume and have it going forward is just amazing. And it's so much experience that I just had by having this senior internship as a part of my class schedule senior year. It wasn't like I was taking up time outside of school or anything like that. It was just a part of my everyday. which was wonderful. So fast forward 2 years, I am currently interning again at Cedar Hill with Mrs. Mooney. As Mr. Brum said, I am a rising junior at Virginia Tech. I am studying human development and psychology, and I plan on going on to receive my master's in school counseling after I graduate. And being back at Cedar Hill is amazing. It's a full circle experience. Being back with Mrs. Mooney is incredible. And just having these relationships with both of them, I saw both of them today, and they are so supportive. And as much as I got out of this experience, they're telling me yesterday when I was telling them that I was presenting tonight, that they got just as much out of it as well. They love having students with them, and they're so welcoming and appreciative that we are interested in their careers and want to learn from them. Thank you.
So hi, my name is Sarah Skalski. I am a freshman at Syracuse University, rising sophomore now. Gosh, it really went fast. I interned at Language Lizard for the May-June program. And there I actually published a book. I illustrated and designed the pages for this book right here, and I will pass it around so you guys can all see.
No, it's great.
And so I was working with Annika Forzani, who is the owner at Language Lizard, and we worked together. She gave me the manuscript, and I was working with another intern, whose name is Peter Schoenfeld, actually, and we were working remote at the high school. We worked every day, Monday to Friday. Ms. Wendell Jeffrey was kind enough to host us in the art room, and we drew all of the pages for the entire story, which was incredible. It's really amazing to be able to think about that I was a fully published illustrator at 18. To have that on my resume going forward, especially in college, is really incredible, especially as an illustration major at Syracuse University. It's really opened a lot of doors for me in the sense that it's been great to talk to my professors about it, and having an entire book on my resume has been incredible. My hope is that we can really expand this program, because it really is an invaluable experience to me to be able to look back at all of the work that I did. And I actually chose to continue this work because the duration of the internship wasn't actually enough for me to finish this project, given that it is an entire book. But I was able to finish it over the summer because I felt so passionately about it, and truly it was an invaluable experience. So I hope that we can expand this program, because had I not done this my senior year, I would have felt definitely underprepared. And I really enjoyed getting to work with Annika Forzani and getting to work with Diane, who was also in communication with us as we interned at the program. And I want to thank Mr. Brum as well for helping me set this up as well. But yeah, it was truly invaluable, and I'm very, very grateful for the experience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Schnarr, and I graduated Ridge, you can see up there, in 2021, and now I'm at Quinnipiac University studying a BFA in Film, Television, and Media Arts, which is what I love. So when I did the May-June internship, I actually worked with Alex Blinder here for information technology, and I had an amazing time. I made a list of things that I did so I can share with you what the experiences was like. I first started with him teaching me all about how IBM courses were, and I think Mr. Brum touched on it before. It was sort of like this informational technology training that you can do online and then apply it to your LinkedIn profile if you really want to. Just sort of like skills and foundation that were really interesting to learn about and teach you about how to be a team builder and time management and all that sort of thing. So that was something that he let me do for this internship. And like I mentioned before, LinkedIn was a big thing. Alex actually helped me get my first LinkedIn account, which I still use to this day. It's in my industry, in the film industry. It's actually huge tool for networking, especially when you want to meet new people, and I've actually found a part-time job from it, so I thank you for that, Alex, because now I have something to, bounce off of, and that was a really big starting point for me during that internship, learning how to use LinkedIn and the tools and how important it could be in any job or field. So really what I did at school when I was with Alex was he let me shadow him in his everyday life as a technology man. He does a lot for this school, and all around the district he let me see like what his job was like, communicating with teachers about their needs and their computers, and stuff like repairing equipment, making sure Wi-Fi was up and running, what he did when he met with the board about trying to get technology for the students and all that. And it was a really valuable experience to try to see how across the board he worked with so many different schools and so many different avenues, and he was very organized with his work. And one of my favorite memories and things that I did especially was at Cedar Hill. He brought me to Cedar Hill to build these Chromebook carts for these little kids. I like kids a lot. So I got to help build Chromebook carts and learn about how that was introduced so that kids could have like that one-on-one learning with computers and things like that. So that was actually really interesting for me to do in my free time. And another thing that I remember from this internship was that one day we were going through really old technology and we found some in a closet at Cedar Hill, and he was like, okay, you can look through it and organize it and things like that. And I found 2 old digital cameras, and me being the film person that I am, I took them and I said, okay, let's see if there's anything on these SD cards, because old cameras must mean there's something on them. And Paul Ciampola, who was working as the principal at the time, I don't know if he still is, I know him from a mutual friend, and so I was like, hey, there's photos of these young kids at the time, I think it was like 2008, photos from 2008, I got to salvage them and like turn them into MP4 files and share them with them. So that was a really interesting thing, kind of unexpected from the internship, but it really did teach me a lot about you can do anything with this internship. It was very unexpected, and I just really enjoyed the time there. It taught me a lot about like teamwork and team building and how much it takes to really put yourself and your effort into a program like the technology program at the school. So overall, it was a really fun and informational experience for me, and I want to thank Mr. Brum so much for this opportunity to do it. He's worked so hard on it, and I wish that a lot more Ridge High students would be interested in this program as well. I think everybody should have the opportunity to kind of work, under somebody who knows a lot about the school and get the experience of being out there in the world and what it's like to run stuff. So, yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I thought it would be really great if we're talking about trying to expand it. Some of it is we have to share what a wonderful experience it was, and so you guys were really, really amazing to share that with us. So I appreciate you coming. That's it. That's what we wanted to share with you. This was a way of highlighting one of our big goals around career programming that we hope to continue. And I just appreciate you listening. And I wonder if you guys have any questions, board members.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say that I think that our students are just so lucky to be able to have a program like this. I loved every single second of hearing about this. I hope it grows and grows and grows. I know we took a hit with COVID, but we're coming out of it. So I really hope that this gets posted and students go when they look at it, and maybe they'll reach out to some of you and ask you questions. Programs like this are what make our district so fabulous and make Ridge such a special high school.
That was great. One of the things at a college level, I do presentations about internship opportunities for college students, and many, many, many high school students are asking us, well, can we do internships at your school before we get there? I said, no. But there is an interest, I think, in areas of science. There's in areas of things like nursing, actually, students who really want some practical experience for their resumes, for their college resumes. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to identify some of those things and where kids can actually get involved, but I know there's a desire.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. Anybody else?
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm floored with all of your personal accounts. I think that you guys spoke really well, and happy to hear that you had such great experiences, and I really do hope more students utilize this program. I had a question about the Naviance expansion into the grades K through 8, and was wondering how that would look, and what would you focus on?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think that'll be part of the work of the committee moving forward. So what is the content of the curriculum K through 8? First discovering that. We currently have, we buy the product for the high school. And so we're looking into exactly what it entails at that level. And then once we discover that, what, if anything, applies to us. And so, but I can tell you from experience in a previous district that a lot of it is geared towards discovery of self. And so a lot of it is learning inventories, leading then to build upon interests and aptitudes that then could lead you to potential career paths. And so most of it is very developmentally appropriate in terms of, you know, what a 6th grader would be engaged in versus an 8th grader. But that would be part of the work that we would look into.
I just want to say thank you to the students, and a special thank you to Mr. Brum, because the passion that you brought to this from the first time you came to the BOECC to talk about it was, you know, clear and evident. And I want to really say thank you to people like Mrs. Mooney and to Mrs. Cascarelli, who's not here right now, but my oldest daughter had the good fortune to be a full-year intern in her middle school math class, and it was just as incredible an experience. And I think at this time, this program in combination with Tomorrow's Teachers, which is so exciting, and we heard about that last time, is a great complement, and hopefully something that has us talking a little bit less about, you know, the gravitation away from teaching, because we need amazing teachers like the ones we have in this district. So thank you to all of our teachers. If anybody's in the room, we love you.
Thank you. I'm going to return. Thank you.
Okay, we're up to the superintendent's report. There are 2 items. Would someone like to make a motion for those items? Ms. Light and Mr. Salmon? Did you want to speak about it? Okay. Anyone have any questions? Can we have a roll call, please, Mr. McLaughlin?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray? Ms. Singh?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Mr. Khanna?
Yes.
Ms. Hira?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. At this time, we're up to public comment on agenda items. If you have a comment, please come up and tell us your name and address, and you can sign in on the clipboard after you speak.
Hello, my name is Frank Klaus. I'm a resident at 18 Owens Court. I think it's fantastic that Ridge High School has the kind of resources to provide such diverse options for its students. It's really quite terrific. The one that we just spent the last hour hearing about has less than 10 in it actually less than the number of board members there are here. There are so many, many topics that we need much more transparency into. Those topics that touch hundreds of students, all the students, tens of thousands of our residents. I think we should bring those agenda items here to be discussed rather than parade the board members' children and their topics here.
Annika Forzani, 45 Don Drive. I'm not sure I completely heard that last comment right. So I just want to say that I am one of the internship hosts, and it has been actually a phenomenal experience. The students I have worked with have been so talented. I've been working with them for 3 years now. Worked with Mr. Brum and Ms. Wendell Jeffrey, the art teacher, to help find appropriate interns who have helped with illustration, educational worksheets, video creation, and these were highly motivated, extremely talented students. So everything Mr. Brum said about the phenomenal experience, I can only echo that from my own personal experience. I just want to make clear, though, that I know 2 of the speakers were children of the board members. However, that had nothing to do with why these students were here. So I'm not sure if I misunderstood that, but I spoke to Ms. Jeffrey. Every year I speak to her to see, who she believes some of the most talented students were. And, you heard Sarah Skalski, and if you saw the book, you'll see she's a phenomenally talented person that I had a great pleasure to work with. So take a look at the book, and you'll see she was really remarkable. And I think she was probably the top art student, certainly among the top art students in that class. So I just want to say it was a great program. Whether you expand it, I think here we did have some very highly motivated, interested people, but I think you could definitely expand it with people that have many varied interests. But the students do have to be, wanting to do it and wanting to be interested in it, and that's what makes it successful. The only other thing I want to mention about the career readiness, and I know one of the board members asked about the expansion of Naviance in grades K through 8, which was also a question that I had. So it sounds like it's more discovery of self. But I do feel that we have to be careful pushing too much of awareness of career pathways and things like that to the lower grades. I just think that maybe that's not, I wouldn't want my kid to be pushed into that direction. I think that's a time of exploration, see what their talents are, et cetera. So if it's general discovery, that's good, but I wouldn't want to see too much career focus on sort of the K through 8 grades personally. Thank you.
Cody Smith, 36 Royal Oak Drive. I agree with Ms. Forzani about K through 8. I don't know why we're getting our children at that age to think about what they're going to do for a living. As you know, we have enough problems with the sex education that we have to give them, which is appalling. And now we're going to tell them that they should start thinking about what they want to do with their lives. Can we just let them be kids and do what kids do and leave them alone, teach them math, arithmetic, English, and just stay out of that? The other issue with the internship, yeah, there was a small number, but there's plenty of jobs out there. Kids can go out and get a summer job. A lot of kids do. I don't know why we have to get behind that and sponsor it. When I watch that, make connections and do that stuff, maybe I'm different as an elderly person, but I don't remember the kids I hung out with in high school. We went completely different paths. I'm still friends today. None of those connections have ever gotten me anything. That's usually something you think about in college if you're going to do that. Why do we need to think about that in high school? When my kids have had jobs, we have to come to the school and ask permission to have my kid have a job which has nothing to do with the school. I've always said to my wife, why is the school involved in this? If we want our kids to work and go out and get a job, why do we need to get permission from the school? I've never understood it. But I think what you're doing here, it's more of a college thing. It's not a high school thing. And I'd say leave the younger kids alone. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here in person for public comment? Is there anyone waiting in Zoom? No? Okay, at this time, I'll close public comment on agenda items. Did you guys want to respond at all? Mr. Markarian or Ms. Fox?
I just wanted to thank the staff for coming tonight, for Ms. Fox and the other admins, as well as the students that came. I know they probably had a busy agenda and they've departed, but I just wanted to thank everybody for sharing their experiences and for working at the program. Thank you.
And
I would respond.
Okay, go
Just
ahead.
briefly.
Okay.
I didn't hear all of the comments because I was, walking the students and the staff out, but I got a couple of the last few comments, and I guess all I would say to that is our intention would not be to push careers on younger children. There's a lot of research about building interest inventories and just building awareness so that kids, and actually one of the things I was going to say, and I think I forgot to say it, was part of the idea is to remove some of the pressure of like the one pathway of really competitive colleges that may not be the right path for certain children, and to sort of make them aware of other pathways. It's not really about getting younger children to plan their futures at a young age. So it's really based on interest, connecting interest to skills, and just building more awareness at a younger age, not pushing careers on anybody.
And I can just echo what you were just saying in terms of what I think of when I think of what's important for K to 8 learners is, understanding their strengths and their aptitudes and their challenges, because a lot of kids have trouble. We've talked a lot about children having trouble with study skills, for example. That's been a chronic conversation. And I think a lot of it is understanding what kind of learner you are and what you like and what you don't like and what your strengths and weaknesses are and how to, maximize that. So I think there's a lot of exciting things going on at the middle school. We heard about at some of the meetings recently. And so I'm all for that. I don't agree. I also agree, kids don't know what they want to do when they're that young in terms of a career, but that just understanding all the different opportunities and how to work with other people, the skills they need in the workplace, like how to work in groups and things like that are important. So, yeah, I do agree that it's too early to try to pigeonhole them into specific careers. Anyway, did anyone else have anything?
I think it's just great that the kids have exposure. Even my little guy, he thinks he's going to be a YouTube gamer when he grows up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with exposing kids to different fields. I'm not going to crush his dream right now. Again, they just have the ability to have an open mind that they can be whatever they want to be, and there's so many opportunities out there. So I think it's a great thing.
And I mean, some of the opportunities through this program and the Tomorrow's Teachers are not jobs that kids could go out and get in the summer. My daughter, who's a rising senior in college, she shadowed an OT in the district when she was in between, actually in the summer, so it wasn't even the official internship program. And that was what made her decide to major in OT in college. So I think there's a lot of really cool things that can come out of these programs. Okay, we are up to the approval of minutes. Would someone like to make a motion for that? One item? Okay, Mr. Salmon, would someone second it? Mrs. Gray? Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Ms. Light,
Yes.
Mr. Khanna,
Yes.
Ms. Ira,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune,
Yes.
Madam President.
Thank you. We're up to the next item, which is the annual approvals and appointments. There are 9 items. Would someone like to make a motion for those? Ms. Singh and Ms. Schaefer. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Ms. Light,
Yes.
Mr. Khanna,
Yes.
Ms. Ira,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune,
Yes.
Madam President.
We're up to finance. There are 56 items. Would someone like to make a motion? Mr. Salmon and Ms. Light? Was there a finance report?
there is. Oh, sorry, I have the wrong, there we go. I'm sorry, I got logged out when we were down there. So the Finance Committee met on Thursday, May 19th. The first agenda item was the Ridge High School HVAC project. At the time of the SDA grants that we applied for, there were 13 classrooms that were not identified at Ridge High School. So when the ESSER 3 funds became available last year, the business office applied for those for $1 million of grant money to address those 13 classrooms. Mr. McLaughlin will be meeting next week with Tony Katana and John Perrin and Bill Larkin to detail the needs for this project. Spiesel would then be contacted, and they would retain Joe Mastretta to perform the design work so that we could go out to bid by November at the very latest. This would put us on schedule for the project to be completed over the summer of 2023. Item 2 is the health benefits update. Ron Wendroff and Joe Colombo joined us from Arthur Gallagher. Because the district is self-insured, which saves us considerably on the total cost of health benefits, Ron from Arthur Gallagher, who is our risk management consulting firm, joined the committee and reported that Arthur Gallagher went out to market to get quotes for stop-loss coverage. Blue Cross Blue Shield is the best with an only 11% increase while maintaining individual stop-loss thresholds. The cost for this coverage is $871,000. Symetra and Sun Life provided the 2 other quotes, both of which were higher. As a self-insured district, we also contract out to secure an administrative services agreement. This would continue to be with Blue Cross Blue Shield, who we have used in the past. This cost is associated with claims processing and network administration. The proposed increase here is only about 1.5%. Both of these costs are within the established budget for the health benefits for next year. The next item is the Oak Street School roof project update. Mr. Perrin joined the committee to share an update on the roof project. He reported that the project had an official start meeting in March, and since that time has been working through all of the steps preceding the actual commencement of the construction, which will be, I believe, June 18th. Permits were issued in April. The safety plan was reviewed in April. Whether or not alarm systems will need to be placed in test mode is currently being determined. The construction schedule is expected from the contractor by May 24th, which I think is today? Tomorrow. The contractor will be sharing a submittal schedule for the work next week, and Mr. Perrin will use this to ensure that the contractor, Pravco, is procuring necessary materials and supplies in a timely manner. We also received an update on work orders. Aramark and Mr. Larkin have been tasked to continue with and accelerate processing of work orders and the weekly monitoring of the same. And the committee will continue to receive regular updates on this. The next item is an update on the softball field that we've been hearing about the last few meetings. The left field swale has been cleaned and graded, and a base layer of stone is now in place. The top layer will go in next. JT surveyors were hired to survey the site. The complete survey should be delivered this week. The surveyor indicated that he believes the Board of Education will have to submit a soil erosion and sediment control plan with the county, as well as a land disturbance plan with the township. With these approvals, the next step will be to obtain proposals from field installation contractors and to retain one for the project based on the surveyor's calculations. The goal is to have this be a more permanent solution. Then we had a brief busing update. Barker bus contract, the next year's Barker bus contract has been signed at a nominal increase of 1.9% for the routes that they are currently running. For the bid specs to go out to bid for the current Kensington routes, Mr. McLaughlin asked Jerry Ford, our transportation consultant from Del Val, and our counsel, Dave Rutenberg, to enhance some performance clauses in the bid document that become part of the final awarded contract. We will go out to bid in June, and those bids are presented, all bids that are presented will hold for 60 days. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 23rd. Any questions for the board members? Okay, so we have, do I have all the items, Rod? I do, I have all 56, okay. So on the agenda, we have, the first 3 items are standing items. Item number 4 is professional development. Item 5 is a donation from the PEC for summer fun at both the William Annan and Mount Prospect School extended school year programs, and thank you to the PEC. Item 6 is the approval for the signatories of our accounts. Item 7 is this is just the approval of our insurance for these programs, and it's identical to what was approved last year. Item 8 is a state requirement pre-authorizing the use of these specific contractors. Item 9 is the designation of our official newspapers. And item 10 is authorization to open accounts, transfer, invest, and maintain funds. And the accounts are named there. I'm sorry, the institutions are named there. Item 11 is an approved shelter annuity plan that is available to staff members. And item 12 is the approval of our purchasing consortiums. 13 is the schedule of fees for use of facilities for 2022-23. And there's no proposed change there. Then the subscription busing is number 14. Number 15 is the pay stub provider, and that's a 2.5% increase in the contract there. The next item, number 16, is the approval of our board attorney. Excuse me. And then property and casualty and legal services are covered there. And then, where are we? Number 18 is the approval, I'm sorry, Rod, what is this one? The approval. Okay. So it's for a huge range of supplies from nursing and classroom, music, and art. Number 19 is the administration of health benefits. Number 20 is construction council. Number 21 is financial advisor contract. Number 22 is for Strauss Esme for policy alerts. Number 23 is our auditors. And number 24 is our labor council. Number 25 is a district physician. Number 26 is the sports physician. And number 27 is our athletic physicians. And why I don't have any. Number 28 is the approval, I guess it's self-evident, treasurer of school monies. And number 29 is the tuition rates for students being placed in our district. And number 30 is our facilities consultant. Number 31 is for Advocate for our food services monitoring. And number 32 is for our dental coverage. By the way, the last two, there's no change there from last year. Number 33 is for Horizon Healthcare Services. Number 34 is the transportation consultant, Jerry, and we're getting there, sorry. I'm missing one. 35 is, oh, this is the grant for the oval at WAMS. And number 36 is for home instruction. Number 37, 38, 39, and 40 are student services determined by IEPs. Number 41 is extended school year. These are students with regular school year and extended school year, so they're paired 41 and 42, 43 and 44, and so on through 53, right? And then 54 is for behavioral intervention. Number 55 is a resolution not to apply for the ARP homeless funding grant, which I don't remember why we had to approve that, Rod.
Well, they require us to either accept it or to not accept it.
Okay, so we're just not accepting
We
it.
polled pertinent district administrators, and there was a feeling that it would not be a... The reason we chose not to apply for it is that we have to make a decision to either apply or not apply for it. And in particular, after polling pertinent district administrative staff, it was found that there was not identified a group of individuals that we could direct those funds towards helping.
Thank you. And the final item, number 56, is the administrative services agreement for the healthcare with Horizon, which is an increase of 1.5%. Any questions?
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes?
Ms. Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. White,
Yes.
Ms. Light,
Yes.
Mr. Kano,
Yes.
Ms. Hira,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune,
Yes,
Madam President.
thank you. We're up to the Personnel Committee. There are 18 items. Would someone like to make a motion? Mrs. White, and someone want a second? Ms. Singh. Is there a personnel report?
Yes. Personnel met on Friday, the 20th, and we discussed obviously various staffing issues, negotiations issues. The one item I can report on is that we were joined by Megan Fusarelli, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and Marion Ald from Us Too, to get some responses to some of the issues that have been raised in emails and public comment. The first topic we discussed was whether Us Squared has worked with other school districts. Megan reiterated that Us Squared has worked with 20 to 30 school districts, including but not limited to Ferndale in Michigan, Farmington in Michigan, Watchung Hills in New Jersey, and 4 districts in Delaware. Megan, again, reviewed her professional background with us. We asked some of the questions or reiterated some of the questions that we heard about the surveys. For example, why didn't the surveys include definitions? Megan explained that the survey was designed to get feedback based on foundational knowledge. For example, whether the students were even aware of certain terminology. If the survey taker did not understand a term or question, Us Squared uses the open-ended responses in the surveys and focus groups to gather more information and feedback to generate like a holistic response to their questions. The second issue was why they use rating scales for questions that seem to be yes/no questions. They wanted to leave room for nuance in the responses and for survey takers that do not feel 100% certain enough to say yes or no. For example, if the survey question is for a classroom environment at WAMS, students have multiple classroom environments, so Us Squared wanted to provide a response system to accommodate that. We asked why some questions didn't have an NA or an I don't know answer. Megan explained that providing an I don't know answer could skew the results because it'll limit the sample size for responses. By forcing answers, even if the survey taker is not sure or doesn't know, Megan said the data can be used to understand the survey taker's gut feeling on the issue, which can be wrapped up with the open-ended responses and the focus groups. Somebody had asked what the survey hypothesis is. So the survey hypothesis is, do current perceptions match realities of stakeholders in the district? Based on the public comments at board meetings and some emails the boards have received related to the equity audit, that came directly to the board, not to the equity audit email address. The committee did inquire about the volume of email that is being sent to the special equity audit email address that is going directly to us squared. Megan said the following: since the town hall, less than 10 people have sent emails, and currently they are getting approximately 10 to 15 emails per week, almost all of which are from 2 people. The preliminary response results was we had 968 responses from elementary students out of 1,800 possible. We had 893 from Ridge High School out of 1,736 students, 763 from WAMS out of 1,100 students. Some makeup surveys are still outstanding, and the self-contained surveys are still open. When the Pride survey was administered in 2019, there was a total of 901 responses in 6 through 12, around 450 at WAMS and 450 at Ridge. And the focus groups are happening this week. That's what I can report.
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. Does anyone have any questions? No? Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Ms. Singh?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Mr. Khanna?
Yes.
Ms. Hira?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. We're up to the policy committee. There are 2 items. Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Hira, and second, Mr. Salmon. Is there a policy committee report?
Yes. Policy last met on Monday, May 2nd, and there was one new policy that was created and several policies and regulations that were revised. One of the new policies that were created was one that entails keeping track of our district's COVID cases. It's something the district has already been doing, but there was no policy in place, and the policy is 1648.15, and it reflects that a log will be maintained, which includes an employee's name, contact information, occupation, location where the employee works, and when they tested positive for COVID, and when their symptoms have started. The log is something that would be confidential and would not be disclosed unless required by law. Policy 2417, student intervention and referral services, was revised merely to reflect changes in our state statute. Policy 3161, examination for cause, along with policy 4161, examination for cause. This policy was revised to reflect that the Board of Ed may require the physical and/or psychiatric examination of any support staff member who shows evidence of deviation from normal physical or mental health in accordance with NJAC 6A:32-6.3b, and P3161 was also revised to, actually it was completely redrafted and outlined to reflect the procedure on how to conduct a fitness for duty evaluation of a teacher and/or support staff if needed. Policy 5512, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, was revised to incorporate certain changes in the law. Just to name a few, in the event that there is a HIB incident and it is determined that it's not actually HIB, the policy reflects that the superintendent has to report it. During the course of a HIB investigation, if it is believed that a crime occurred, the MOA between the school district and the police department goes into effect, and the HIB has to be reported to the police. The policy also has been revised to reflect that the principal has to keep a record of any HIB incident reported, and the parent notification has to be recorded. If there is an appeal of the HIB investigation, it comes to the board. If it does, the district has to give the board a copy of the redacted version of the parent notification. If someone wants to make an anonymous complaint online, we have to have a mechanism in place to do that. So the policy reflects that, again, there's something that needs to be done. The Department of Education is most likely going to create a form. There could be a hotline, but there needs to be some mechanism in place. The policy was revised to reflect that if the principal is going to make a preliminary determination of a HIB incident, the superintendent is to accept or reject it in writing. The investigation timelines were revised. It's 10 school days from the date the principal receives the notification. Then the principal reports the HIB to the superintendent. If the superintendent determines that a HIB investigation needs to occur, the 10-day timeline starts from the day that the superintendent gives written notification to the principal. The policy was also revised to reflect that our website has to have a link for the procedures and outline of a HIB investigation. We also have to post on our website who the state school climate coordinator is and give their contact information. Policy 7410 and Regulation 7410.01, there were no substantive revisions. The code sections were just revised. Policy 8420, Emergency and Crisis Situations. Again, this policy was revised to reflect a change in the law relating to notification for school security drills. The policy reflects that a communication has to go out to the community of the date and time of the drill upon its completion. Lastly, Policy 9320, Cooperation with Law Enforcement Agency. It addresses the MOA between law enforcement and schools. I spoke too soon. Regulation 9320, Cooperation with Law Enforcement Agency. This regulation aligns with the policy I just spoke about. The MOA is a document that is reviewed and revised on an annual basis. It spells out when the district has to involve the police. Any questions?
Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Ms. Singh?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Mr. Khanna?
Yes.
Ms. Hira?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President.
Thank you. We're up to the Curriculum Committee. Is there a report?
Yes, there is. Curriculum met on May 6th. Stephanie Orr gave an update on how the after-school program to provide added support to identified students during the after-school homework club time has progressed. To review, this after-school program started 5 months ago and focuses on teaching and reinforcing executive functioning skills in small groups several times a week to students identified as struggling and needing additional support. Students are identified through RTI and 504 committee, school counselors, teachers, parents, and administrators. Students are placed in small groups of no more than 3 students. Most students are part of a group of 2. Students are grouped based on grade and need. Prior to each meeting, staff connect with the teachers, check Genesis, and plan a lesson based on need. Every student has a data tracking form that's accessible to teachers and counselors, and teachers who participate in the program are provided with a half hour of time to prepare for the students they work with after school. Each staff member working with students works on the following identified skills: organization, prioritizing work, long-term planning, sustaining attention while working, following directions on assignments, increasing motivation, test-taking strategies, and other individual needs. Staff keep track of what they did each week with students and anything that needs to be followed up on. School counselors and others that are connected with the student can see the information. Each month, the staff meet as a group to reflect on the program and brainstorm what can be done to make improvements. Currently, the program is supporting 17 students. 10 staff members have been working with students in the program. Students come 1 to 4 days a week, depending on need and parent request. Teachers and parents have all seen growth with the participants. Classroom teachers have shared that strategies given are working with the participants and others in the classroom too. Consistency over time between home and school is a goal. Feedback from parents has been positive. Students want to come, and teachers have seen progress. There are interventions during the school day too, where students can only be pulled out from cycle or PE, but these typically are different students than those involved with this program. Ideally, a similar goal is to have this option for ninth graders and for it to be funded through the same grant. Like Viking Academy, a goal is to graduate students out of this program. Many teachers have been trained to work in the program. Staff involved in this program have participated in professional development to gain a better understanding of executive functioning and the challenges students face in school. 25 staff members from across all teams and all departments at WAMS have participated thus far in training. There will be a total of 4 two-hour sessions with staff members, one each month, March through June, on Zoom as ongoing training model. Staff share out at team meetings and department meetings so the entire building can benefit. Mrs. Hudak reviewed that prior to COVID, WAMS participated with the College of St. Elizabeth on the Culture and Climate Survey. Following a review of that survey, the plan was to implement the following pilot program that is now being revisited for the next remaining Wednesdays until the end of the school year. St. Elizabeth identified that student stressors, both in and out of school, were creating anxiety and leading to students needing time and support for help. Many other schools offer a block of time to see counselors, teachers, and get help. All this information will be shared with parents as well in a presentation titled Learning Labs on Wednesdays at WAMS, and it will also be shared with all students. Essentially, this block of time will be a structured, quiet, stress-free, purposeful time to get organized, focus on executive functioning skills, and allow counselors to work with groups of children in a safe and supportive environment. Students will be able to work on homework, projects, and teachers can invite students who they believe need academic support to meet them. It is not enrichment, free play on the computer, movie watching, or walking around the building. The schedule on each Wednesday will be crafted in such a way to create 36-minute periods to free up an extra block of time from 1:44 to 2:20 for learning lab time. Students will all report to their homerooms. Students had reported feeling a sense of isolation, so bringing them together collectively in their homeroom is a good idea. The block will begin with students participating by following the learning lab procedures, which are as follows. 1, look in Genesis and review your grades. Look for anything that's listed as missing or 0. If you turn something in late, you need to email the teacher to let them know that it was turned in. 2, check Google Classroom to do to make sure nothing is missing and sees what is upcoming. 3, check your email for any messages from teachers. Delete anything you don't need or put it in a folder if you want to keep it. Students may receive Learning Lab passes so that they can meet with teachers who have asked to meet with them. This time is being created to allow students to have time to check things off their to-do list. Following the pilot, outcomes will be reviewed and feedback on how it went will be explored to determine how to proceed with WAM's Learning Lab next year. We then had an update to March Madness at Ridge. The student vote for the final 4 books for summer reading has taken place, and the final 4 are Six of Crows, which is fantasy, by Lee Bardugo, The Chemist, which is action suspense, by Stephanie Meyer, Let Them Read, which is about business leadership, by John U. Bacon, and Persepolis Volume 1, which is a graphic novel memoir by Mary Jane Satrapi. Students can select the book or books that interest them, as always, in order to complete the summer reading assignment. For summer extended instructional support program registration, we were given an update. At the time, forms were just due on May 6th, so therefore there were not actual numbers of student participation weren't fully complete, but preliminary numbers based on those invited to participate are as follows. Extended in-class support math, there are 27 students. Extended in-class support reading, there are 61 students. Extended in-class support for both, 35 students, and ESL, 35 students. And tonight we're going to be approving 12 teachers, 8 K through 5, 2 6 through 8, and 2 ESL to work with these students. Groups will be kept small, 2 students, and teachers will coordinate with families to determine the best time to work with students. Teachers and families have some flexibility to schedule meetings in person or virtually. Mr. Fackelman gave an update on summer financial literacy. At the time, registration had only been open for a week, but as of that day, 13 students had registered. And last year, there were about 134 students who participated. Tests will remain online on specifically scheduled dates. As far as the classroom management pilot, the letters had gone out to parents whose children or teachers were participating in the 6-week pilot, and the K through 8 and the high school letters were slightly different due to the bring your own technology policy in place at the high school. We also had a review of the marking period 3 grades. Students receiving D's or E's in courses continue to be our struggling learners, just like last marking period. The rotating drop schedule is leading to an improvement in grades as students made scheduling choices that positively impacted them. Overall, teachers are finding that students are performing at the same level or better than pre-COVID. In mathematics, there's actually been a decline in D's and E's. Students are performing better in science, demonstrating that changes in pacing have led to positive improvements. There are half as many D's and E's in English classes than the 2021 school year. A review of the end of the school year of grades will offer a fuller picture. And lastly, we were given a scheduling update, and it will be easier to build the rotating drop schedule this year because it's not starting from scratch. Next week's schedules will begin to be run and adjustments to sectioning can be made. And our next meeting will be on June 3rd.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we're up to the Wellness Committee.
Yes. So Wellness had a meeting on April 28th. I got notes out late, so we're reporting out a little late. Our first item was a follow-up from the Board of Ed meeting where the big sibling presentation happened. Dr. Thorpe came to our meeting with 2 students, and we asked the students some additional questions that the board had posed, what they liked the best, which was in-person interaction, and that they got to stay with their little for 3 years until the students graduate, the high school students graduate, or the littles fall out of the program, which actually turned out to be somewhat of a surprise for some students who thought they were signing up for 1 year. There are 2 events per semester, the field day and an end-of-the-year event. The field day is an end-of-year event that's coming up. They're looking at a little more support for funding for programming, maybe expanding some programming, and we did some brainstorming on what that might look like. The second item was a continuation of a discussion with Rich Shello, the Director of Athletics, continuing the discussion about pulling our coaches into the wellness model and the communities of Ridge and WAMS and encouraging the student development and culture within the athletics program. We had an update about what currently coaches training involves, which is they go through about 3.5 hours of mandated training, including things like blood-borne pathogens, HIB, first aid and CPR AED. That happens every 2 years. There is a one-time 6-hour basics of coaching through the National Federation of High School Fundamentals of Coaching, including things like legal liability, team management, and the basics. They do every year a 30-minute session about concussions. There's a heat illness prevention for 30 minutes, every year. An implicit bias annual training for 30 minutes, and tourniquet use training for 5 to 10 minutes. And we discussed adding into these modules something about promoting a positive culture within athletics, and that's the point of wellness. So it isn't easy to do these online. Rich was looking into potential courses. There was a course through the National Federation of High Schools about protecting students from abuse, student mental health, and suicide prevention, which is clearly a big issue in the NCAA right now. Bullying, hazing, and inappropriate behavior. There's some 90-minute training through U.S. Center for Safe Sport, and he had looked into a couple of other options for workshops, but there was concern about, needing the feedback and the conversations that happen within some of this stuff. So he was going to continue to think about future ideas. We'll be potentially, we had one suggestion about parents involved and pass that to policy. And we're going to look forward to hearing from Mr. Shello at our next meeting with more information about modules that he has come up with that he wants to integrate into his program. And finally, we heard about the Ridge Gives Back program, which everybody hopefully has heard about by now,
We're very excited about this. It's the first time that the entire Ridge High School is going to be doing a community service event. They did all this planning in 2.5 months. They got 4 volunteers really primarily one to plan this for 1,800 students. And as of that date in April, we had enough activities. They were going to be going forward. Most were in town, some are at the high school, but there's some as far as away as Round Valley, and I think down the shore is what I saw. They're using SCHED, which is SCHED, schedule, software to schedule the students' days. And every activity is going to have a teacher leader. We're enforcing the field trip policy. Mr. Lazovic did a Ridge High School Minute, and it went out on Friday folder. There was an announcement. There was a bit of information. It was a pretty quick turnaround because they needed to get it all set up. So it combines with the wellness. The tea time theme for June is community service. And as I said, all of our students are involved. We have special ed students are also being included in this day. Last time I mentioned to the board that we needed to cover, or we were suggesting that the board cover the transportation costs, and we did discuss that at board forum. The PTO is looking and helping get the supply lists. I urge everyone in the community to take a look. It's through Amazon. It's a really easy process to send some supplies to the high school to sponsor this really exciting day. And they're also doing a t-shirt drive. We're hoping that all the students can be in green. It's going to be a very, really exciting day on June 2nd. They expect that by the end of the day, there'll be about 10,000 hours of community service done and accomplished by the Ridge students. So it's really going to be a very exciting day. We also talked about the free and reduced lunch program. So Berners Township does not participate in the federal program, but we mimic it. And we discussed a little bit about what meals look like. There's a team of administrators trying to tighten up the program and communication with students and families. So they wanted to share some information with us. They talked about, what it looks like. We discussed whether adding breakfast is appropriate and possible. The committee supported this idea, but we need to look into some logistics and long-term costs. And there was some suggestion about negotiation and working with Aramark for breakfast distribution at different levels. Finally, we talked about the elementary counseling program because there was some discussion about needing more support in the elementary school levels. Student need has increased. I think COVID has resulted in a lack of social skills, some aggressive behavior, feelings of isolation due to the pandemic. It's not widespread, but it's just enough that we need some extra teamwork in the elementary schools. They're currently doing group meetings, they're doing individual lessons, they're doing one-on-one meetings, but the counselors are getting really torn because there's an increased need for one-on-one meetings, but they don't have enough time to do those. The counseling staff did a case study at Cedar Hill, and we looked at the day-to-day schedule for a counselor so they could see what their time was being spent at, and it was determined that the assistant principals were helping out as counselors in order to serve the needs of all the students. And the concern is the counselors are having to shortchange the wellness lessons that we heard about at another meeting due to crisis intervention, that there's just not enough time in the day. So we were looking into expanding the ESS program at William Annan, which could potentially free up some middle school staff to help with elementary schools. So there's still some discussion about staffing. We were going to wait for Ms. Smith to come back from maternity leave. Welcome back, we're happy. And we will be discussing this at our meeting in June on the 16th.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we're up to liaison committee reports. Does anybody have any? Okay. We're now up to public comment on non-agenda items. If you have a public comment, please tell us your name and address, and you can sign in on the clipboard after you speak.
Hi, my name is Erica Goldberg, and I'm at 11 Heather Lane. First of all, I'd like to thank the board, Mr. Markarian, all of the teachers and staff in our district for all of their hard work. Oftentimes when parents aren't happy, they blame the schools and teachers without really understanding that our staff and teachers are working tirelessly to ensure that every student is successful. Every presentation, BOE meeting, minutes, and the entire curriculum for every grade and every class is online. There was even a roundtable type meeting on May 2nd about communication where we're able to share what was working and what needed improvements. There is no deception or deceit. Everything is open to the public. Furthermore, we have an amazing social emotional learning program that targets growth mindset and calming strategies. My children have come home from school and share what they've learned. They've taught me a lot about working through tough problems, communicating, having grit. Personally, I know that the counselors at our schools have helped our family get through the anxiety and uncertainty of the last 2 years. Don't we want these things for our kids? Don't we want them to feel empowered and confident and able to problem solve as they navigate through life? I don't understand why some parents would want to limit their children's education to just the basics, reading, writing, and math, when life is made up of so much more than that. Don't we want to arm our children with all of the tools that they will need to succeed? Along with arming our students with mental health strategies, we also need to help them understand how to stay safe and healthy. The entire health curriculum, along with all of the other curriculums, are online for parents to view. In addition to that, as parents, you are able to opt out of the program entirely. I cannot understand why some parents think they should stop the entire program for all of the children when they can just choose not to participate. My second grader recently came home and told me that when she made an innocent comment about wanting some balls for the Gaga pit at school, a fellow 8-year-old laughed at her and told her why wanting to play with balls was so funny. She was confused and upset that she was laughed at. I am very angered and disappointed that some people think their 8-year-old son can tell my daughter what balls are, but a licensed professional teacher can't explain what a uterus is. Why shouldn't that boy learn the proper name for body parts? Why allow vulgarity on the playground, but fuss about scientific and clinical words in the classroom? Just like every other curriculum, health builds on itself. So by the time our students are seniors and leave our homes, they are prepared for the world. Starting this health curriculum with age-appropriate lessons and building on it is exactly what our math and language arts curriculums do as well. There's no reason why kindergarteners shouldn't learn about emotions, or that second graders shouldn't learn that humans make babies, but cars don't, because that's what the curriculum says. There's nothing to fear from it. Read the curriculum, it's online for us to see, and if you still don't agree, then opt out. But please don't waste our time trying to stop something just because you don't agree, because there are many of us that do agree with teaching our children age-appropriate materials that will help them be stronger teens and adults. Finally, statistics prove over and over again that numbers of teen pregnancy and drug use go down with health classes. Please remember that public school is for the good of the public. Thank you very much.
Cody Smith, 36 Royal Oak Drive. I'd like to address some of the comments that were made about the budget in the discussion at the last meeting. First off, the financial statements, the audited financial statements, the reporting package, it's comprehensive, is about 150 pages. I couldn't find it on the website. Maybe it's there. Unlike the township that has their audit report on their website, I don't believe the district has the audit on the website. I had to go to a state of New Jersey site and hunt around to find it. I thought the cover letter here done by Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Markarian was very good. It's a good summary of information. It should be available for people to read it along with everything else in there. And as to my request in the email, I was looking for the required supplementary information from the budget. This table is 7 pages of detailed budget information. It starts with the original budget. It then goes to budget transfers, final budget, actual, and then the variance. What I was asking for and did not receive is the original budget column only. I figured that if we were doing a budget, we would have this detail available, as it eventually has to go in the audited financial statements, and that's what I was asking to receive. I was not asking to receive the actual column like what I heard in the comment. I'm smart enough to know you can't tell me what the actual number is going to be at the end of next year today. It's impossible. We talk about pro forma actual. Well, I think that would actually be the budget. The budget should be the pro forma actual. I was not asking for what the actual information is going to be. I'm not Nostradamus, and neither are you. I was asking for the budget column. So that was my first point. Again, I didn't receive that. The second issue with the budget is we ought to have a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet, or in the terms of these financial statements, the statement of activity and the net position. In the budget presentation that was given, there was no overview of what the numbers are, even in broad terms. There was a bunch of variances budget to budget, but there was never a picture of what the financial statements might look like, where I think a lot of people that are versed in financials would want that to look at that. That's what I was trying to do in that budget column. I think you mentioned the user-friendly budget. That's pretty much worthless. I think the comment was made that that's required by the state of New Jersey, and incidentally, I don't really care what New Jersey requires. What I'm looking at here is how do we be more transparent with the numbers, not are we meeting the legal requirements. That user-friendly budget is pretty much garbage. It doesn't have any detail in it. And so I'd like to see that eventually in the future we give more than that. The other thing about the budget, I think the comment was made that we have to do budget to budget because that's apples to apples, and if we did actual to budget, that would be apples to pears or oranges to pears or something like that. I would disagree with that. I think the only thing we know about a budget is it's going to be wrong. We just don't know by how much and in which direction. I think we could have done much better, for instance, if we took the 9-month actual this year from July 1 through March 31, and then a 3-month forecast, added it to that. In that forecast, we talk about things that are either back-end or front-end loaded. We can adjust for that in the 3-month column. Yeah. So I think that could have been much better too. Budget to budget is worthless. But the one thing I'd like you to address is the comment that I heard in the dialogue between Ms. Gray and Ms. Light about not getting the budget information, that she wanted more budget information and couldn't get it, which caused her to vote no on the budget. That is a real problem when somebody on the board can't get the information. And unlike what Nancy Pelosi told us with Obamacare, you have to vote for it in order to see what's in it. That's ridiculous. So what I'd like to know is why can't people get the budget information? It's one thing if me as the public can't get it. That's problematic and that's troubling. But when somebody on the board can't get it to make an informed decision on the budget, that is especially troubling. And it's a sign that there's a problem here. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Frank Klaus, 18 Owens Court. There's been a lot of time spent talking about the Gender Diversity and Equity Survey and how it's going to be used. You assured us about 3 Board of Ed meetings ago that we can calm down because it's not going to be put to use right away. It's going to be used to take certain considerations and be used in the future. We just heard that it's not even done yet. And this really was quite reassuring to us as parents. Rumors have started to circulate that this actually could not be further from the truth. According to these rumors, the teachers have been instructed to build the gender diversity into the curriculum already. This actually makes it impossible for me to opt my kid out to things because we built into all of the different classes. This is very troubling to me as a parent and a resident. What I've heard is that there have been requests made that foreign languages should no longer reference the masculine and the feminine in their teachings. I took pretty basic German in Bernards High School back in the day. I've actually worked in Austria, and the way they teach these languages in Germany and in Austria is referencing the masculine and the feminine. It's the way Romance languages are taught, Italian in Italy. This change would suggest that we in Basking Ridge know more about these languages than those that consider them native. I am all for our teachers. They are awesome. We need to let them teach, is what I believe. If we do things like this, it would most certainly hurt the test scores of our students. This top-ranked school system is the key draw to our town. I moved from overseas so my kids could attend this school district. This change would hurt our rankings. If our rankings go down, our property values will go down. That will hurt our tax rate base, and I don't know how we'll pay back the $50 million debt bonds that we have on the schools. Dear board, can you please reassure us that these are just rumors and that they will not happen in our school district? And please don't give me a we'll take it under consideration, we'll get back to you in email, etc. It's pretty simple. Can you say no, the rumors are false, masculine and feminine will be allowed to stay in the languages, and no, gender diversity is not yet being built into the curriculum, or say, well, actually, yes, we do plan to do that. It's a yes or no question. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here for public comment? Is there anyone waiting in the Zoom? Ms. Fox, is there anyone waiting in the Zoom? There's not, okay. At this point, I'll close public comment.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for your attendance tonight, for your comments tonight. I just wanted to say, just briefly, we've all been living in a world where sometimes someone forgets to unmute. So if there's ever a time that you can't hear us, if somebody forgets to unmute, or maybe isn't speaking loudly enough or closely enough into the microphone, please just nicely ask and let us know that you can't hear. I don't think it's right for people to be screamed at while they're up here. So there were a couple comments. One was about some clarification with regard to budget questions. I appreciated that. I think that made some sense, so thanks for clarifying that. With respect to the health curriculum, again, thanks for those comments. We are working on that, and as Ms. Fox has talked about, any types of changes will be clearly communicated so that we can hear from parents as well as we work on that project over the summer. Lastly, with respect to rumors, I can't stand rumors. I wish, if you're hearing a rumor, I'd love to hear the source of the rumor, because that really helps a lot with dispelling it if you can get to the root of the rumor. We can do no more damage than with our loose lips. And I just don't know where this stuff is coming from. I've never heard of anything about masculine versus feminine being eliminated in world language classes. That doesn't mean that it might not have been said somewhere, that I would want to chase it down and say, what is that all about? Because I personally have never heard anything about it, and I just asked Ms. Fox, and neither is she. So if you are hearing about a rumor and you can communicate some source data to what's going on and help us get to the root of the matter, that would be greatly appreciated. But as far as a rumor about masculine versus feminine in world language courses, that to me is a rumor. I've never heard anything about it. Is there a conversation going on about what are the mandates that the state of New Jersey has provided us with respect to some language with regard to how gender or gender diversity is taught? Yes, that is out there. Exactly how that's going to play out, I can't say yet. So I hope that answers that. Thank you.
Okay, we're up to board forum. Does anyone have anything? Can we have a motion for adjournment? Ms. Light, Mr. Salmon, all in favor?